Welcome back to the Alvernia University MIS311 discussion from the O'Brien text. This is Chapter 4. This is good stuff. It's a discussion of software. Those of you who weren't crazy about the hardware section, you ought to really like this. This chart shows an important distinction we make between system software and application software. Most of you business types are grateful that system software is in place, although you probably have no real identity with it. System software is software dedicated to the care and feeding of the computer system, the communication system. Things like your operating system, your database management system, various utilities that perform rudimentary system handling functions, stuff like that. The stuff that's more interesting to you, which by the way could not operate without the system software in place, is the application software, that which caters to a particular need, particularly of the end user community, or solves a particular application problem. And this is the part that we'll talk about the most. A little bit of software vocabulary. These bullets on the next couple of slides aren't necessarily things which are completely different from each other or opposite from each other. They're just kind of different categories of software as you categorize in a number of different ways. For example, general purpose software such as word processing, where Word doesn't ask you what kind of a document you're going to type. It's just there to help you manipulate text. As opposed to custom software, which they say is software apps developed within an organization or developed for an organization. Maybe you specify for a consultant to build it for you or something unique to your use. Sometimes called that proprietary software. There are some severe downsides to writing your own custom software for your organization, and you don't see a whole lot of it nowadays. Commercial off-the-shelf software is sort of like over-the-counter drugs. Off-the-shelf software means it wasn't specifically written for you. You're buying a pre-finished product in essence, and they make their money by selling lots and lots of copies of it as opposed to billing you by the hour to invent yours. You can't make changes to it. There probably aren't many changes you can make, and you, the purchaser, have no control over how that product is going to evolve over time. And the very important thing in the Western culture, the product vendor retains the intellectual property rights of the software. We're into property rights, and intellectual property is something that some cultures don't even have a definition for, but it's big in the Western world. So when you buy the product, you don't own the product. You own the right to use the product, and there are some very strict rules about your license. If we have open source software, what the heck is the source and what's open about it? Well, if I'm the programmer and I write it, I'm the source, and the code that I write is called source code, and the language I use to write it in is called source language. Open source means that you not only get access to the software that actually executes on your machine, but you get access to the code that generates that functionality. This is not something you would get from Microsoft or Corel or any other vendor. Open source software is where you choose to dabble in the code yourself. That's not for normal folks. There are a couple of examples of open source software that you might have run into. One of which is the Linux operating system, where you can get a copy of the operating system as it would work on your machine, and also the code that created it, so that you can examine that code or modify it. The other example that you might run into is OpenOffice, which is an open source product freely available to you for download that acts for all the world like Microsoft Office, but is free to you. Now, as opposed to general purpose software like, for example, the word processor that they talked about, function-specific application software supports a specific application of end users. They give a couple of examples here, which we'll get into more in later chapters. CRM software, ERP software, SCM software, and of course e-commerce web-enabled software, and there are thousands of other apps. We could spend the rest of the semester digging up examples of this, but that gives you an idea that it's software that's kind of specific to a need. Just a few words about software suites. You've probably never known computers that were not dominated by the use of a software suite. That is a collection of separately complete packages or programs which are designed to be purchased together, installed together, and in fact work seamlessly together. The most notable example of that, but not the only example of that, is Microsoft Office. They refer to integrated packages. We hardly see any of those anymore. It's like Microsoft Works, and there are a few other Works packages, and they're kind of nasty little programs that offer some of the features of all of those big applications, but not all of them. And they're all tied into one program, so you can do a little of this and a little of that, a little of the other thing, and it's cheap. Problem is they're not very compatible with anything else, and at this point they're not used very much. This slide is just to illustrate that Microsoft Office, while the benchmark standard for productivity suites of software, is not the only one. There are at least 3 other vendors that compete with them, although I will say that they don't compete terribly well. Some names out of the past. The thing is, in a number of those cases, different products from different companies were pulled together to form a suite. The advantage Microsoft has is that all of those products were written at Microsoft by Microsoft people in concert with the people from Microsoft working on the other packages, and so the suite was designed to be written together. We're not trying to put together disparate pieces into a whole. They were designed to be part of the whole. That makes as one of the reasons that the Microsoft Office suite is so extremely successful. It's interesting to think that web browsers have only been around since about 1994. These programs, and we see everything through the lens of the way browsers work now, but they've only been around since 1994. Pretty amazing how much we've learned to make use of them. There are software applications that support navigation. Who are we telling? You know how to point and click or tap or whatever you do to make your selection, and you understand hyperlinks extremely well, I'm sure. So that sort of program can be used, and it doesn't have to be used over the internet. In fact, you took a quiz by a program that ran in your browser. It supports the things that you already know about. Searches, you know how to conduct searches, email, different kinds of file transfers, all kinds of internet-based applications, and interactivity, discussion groups, things like that. You know more than you think you know about browsers, in fact. The use of search engines has become such a fundamental way that the computer literate folk retrieve information or just answer any kind of query. It's hard to believe that there was a time when those products were new, and there was a pre-Google part of our lives, hard as that is to imagine. We used to have to give classes and show people how to use a search engine. It's kind of laughable now, probably, to many of you, but that's what we had to do. That's become a part of the, in effect, use of search engines. They're built into most websites. You look on any university website, and they have some sort of built-in connection to one of the major search engines. Next few slides are a quick glimpse at a lot of the applications you already know quite a bit about, and may in fact already have stopped or have evolved past using, like instant messaging. I doubt that many of you are still IMing anyone, since you have so many more convenient, more immediate ways of contacting friends and associates. In fact, many of you have kind of evolved past email, though I will tell you that email is still very much a staple of communication within a business. I don't know if any of you have your own blog being short for weblog, a personal website, or even if you have your own web page. A lot of that has gone passé now, what with Facebook and other ways to present yourself. Word processing you already know quite a bit about, although probably not as much as you think you know, especially at some of the higher end functions you ought to learn how to use. You can see the names of some of the dominant products. Certainly the 900-pound gorilla is Microsoft Word. In desktop publishing, if you ever worked on the yearbook or a magazine or something like that, that's high-end multimedia type publishing. We teach how to use it here. One of the Adobe products we use, InDesign, here. Quark Express is also an industrial strength package used in many industry locations. Microsoft Publisher is not on that same level. It's inexpensive, it's pretty easy to learn, it's pretty easy to do easy things. It's not designed for the highest level of document production. But on the other hand, it's cheap and it's easy to learn. However much you understand an electronic spreadsheet package, i.e. Excel, it's the most likely one you've seen. However much you know about that product, it would be a good idea to learn more. It's a vital product in not just business settings, but many commercial things, not just the accounting department. It's can do all kinds of computational work, can do other things as well. But I mean, you would be well served by mastering Excel. Any organization would appreciate your ability to do that. There's not a product you'll encounter that's more important to you. Presentation graphics, PowerPoint. There are other products, by the way. As you can see, Lotus Freelance, Corel Presentations, WordPerfect has a presentation package. They all do, and they all act alike. And if you know one, you can very quickly get up to speed on the other. However, PowerPoint kind of dominates the conversation right now just because it's embedded in the most popular suite. But you can do all kinds of things with it. In fact, the most recent version of PowerPoint is not just a slide generator, which is the way most people use it, but is actually a real multimedia engine. All of these products are kind of converging on each other, but at any rate, it's good to know some presentation graphics. It's probably, of the whole suite, is probably the most overused package. Personal Information Managers. I'll bet you that you have Personal Information Manager on your phone, and I'll bet you use it. If you use it for your calendar or to run your email or look in your address book or whatever, you're using your Personal Information Manager, and I'll bet your phone is your primary locus of that functionality. We think of Microsoft Outlook as our mail processor, but it's way more than that if you choose to use those functions. Groupware is a very interesting category of software. A lot of very creative work going on in Groupware right now. A lot of free stuff available to you. You don't have to be using the Groupware that facilitates work groups within a company that you're working for. I mean, you can, for example, the reference to Windows SharePoint, the Microsoft Exchange, Lotus Notes, and Novell has GroupWise, and Google is providing some Groupware facility. A wiki is a form of Groupware because it allows for collaboration among work groups. And a lot of interesting stuff going on in Groupware right now, all making use of the cloud. Much more about the cloud later. This is probably a good point to pause in the discussion of this chapter before we go in a slightly different direction. So this wraps up part 1 of chapter 4.